Question number 2. I drive, on average, X kilometer per hour. For the first 3 hours, I drove using my average speed. Then I realized that I was running late. So for the next half an hour, I drove 30% faster. Totally speeding, so dangerous. Which expression can be used to express how far I have traveled? So like before, we can set a nice whole number for x. So if you want, we can set x as 50. So let's rearrange what we have. I'm going to type it in. So on average, I drove 50 kilometers per hour. And I did that for 3 hours. So how do I find out how far I have driven from those 3 hours? Right. The speed is 50 kilometers for 1 hour. So 50 kilometers for 1 hour. So I want to know how many kilometers I have driven in 3 hours. Will be 50 times 3 divided by 1, so I have driven 150 kilometers. Or if you can see, is 3 hour times 50, which was my original x value. Next, for the next half an hour, I drove 30% faster. So how do I find out my speed when I drove 30% faster? 30% increase. 30% always mean 30 over 100 times the speed that I had. So 30 divided by 100 times 50 will give me 15. But I'm driving faster, not slower. So hopefully you will have to see that 15 is how much I increased my speed by. So I drove for the last half an hour 50 plus 15, which is 45 kilometer per hour, right? Faster than, sorry, 65. I was thinking faster. 45 is not faster than 50, but 65 is faster than 50. So for half an hour, I was driving at 65 kilometer per hour. So I'm going to write that 65 kilometer per hour for half an hour. So for how far have I driven using that speed, right? So 65 kilometer for every 1 hour. I don't know how far I drove, but I drove for half an hour, so that's 0.5 of an hour. So for that half an hour, I drove 65 times 0.5 divided by 1. If we want to complete the cross multiply, that will give me 32.5 kilometers. So in total, I drove 150 kilometers for the first 3 hours and then 32.5 kilometers for the next half an hour. So in total, it's 150 plus 32.5, and that will give me 182.5. So that is my answer. And if we take a look at what was the operation being done, let me change it to maybe this color. This one is 3 times 50, and 50 was my x value. So I can represent it as 3 times x. Here I have 30% times 50, and then plus the 50% back before I time it by half an hour here. Right? So use this as indications as to which expression is most likely going to be the correct answer. If you still cannot see it, that is correct. It's not the end of the world. What we can do is we will test it one by one. So I have set my x as 50, and I know my final answer is 182.5 kilometers. So let's test D. Each time I'm going to do and write exactly what it is, but when I see x, I will replace x with 50. So x plus 1.3x will be 50 plus 1.3 times 50. Right? So each time I have an x, I will replace it by 50. Order operation tells me that I need to do the bracket first. So the first bracket was 3 plus 0.5, and that gave me 3.5. The next bracket, I have a plus and a multiplication. I will need to do the multiplication first. So 1.3 times 50, if you do that in your calculator, you will find that it gives you 65, right? And then I still need to do the addition from the second bracket. So 50 plus 65 give me 115. So from the first bracket, I have 3.5. The second bracket, I have 115. And when I have 3.5 times 150, that gave me 402.5. It is not 182.5, so this is not the right answer. Next, we can test C. 3x becomes 3 times 50 plus 0.5 times 1.3x, which becomes 1.3 times 50. Order operation dictate if there's anything to be done inside the bracket, I must do that first. So I do 1.3 times 50 first. That will give me 65. I can keep it inside the bracket just so I know where it came from. Then I have 0.5 on the outside. Right, so I'm just writing everything else that I have not done back down. Right, now that there's nothing to do inside the bracket, I will do multiplication next. I have 3 times 50 on the left, that will give me 150. I'll do the plus later. I'll do the next multiplication next, which is 0.5 times 65. That's 32.5. And finally, I'll do the addition, 150 plus 32.5. It gave me 182.5, which is exactly my answer. So this is how I know option C is the correct answer.